It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Right now on the 10 o'clock news.
Welcome to the 10 o'clock news. I'm Natasha Verma.
And I'm Steve Lacey. Breaking news this election night. Zohran Mamdani will be the next mayor of New York City.
The AP calling the race for the Democrat. The results moving quick with the race called around 30 minutes after polls closed.
All right, here a look at the numbers in the mayor's race. As you can see, 50% for Zohran Mamdani, 41% for Cuomo, and 7% for Curtis Sliwa. We have not heard from Andrew Cuomo tonight. We have heard from Curtis Sliwa, and we are awaiting word from Zohran Mamdani. Now, New Yorkers breaking records, turning out in mass numbers to make their voices heard. NYC seeing more than 2 million votes for the first time since 1969.
And in New Jersey, the race for governor was expected to be tight, but Mikey Sherrill runs away with a victory. The AP declaring the Democrat is the winner. As you can see there, 57% for Mikey Sherrill, the Democrat. Jack Ciattarelli with 43%. And from New Jersey to New York City, the Fox 5 team is spread out across the region, watching and waiting with the candidates.
All right, we kick things off with Morgan Mackay live in downtown Brooklyn at the Mamdani headquarters. Tonight's the night, Morgan. It has come to pass. He will be the next mayor of New York City, and obviously his supporters with you in Brooklyn are ecstatic.
Hey, Steve and Natasha, a lot of energy here tonight. They didn't open doors here to the Brooklyn Paramount until about 9 p.m. when polls were closing, but people that didn't stop them from really getting in here, getting excited, watching these results come in. Now, right now, Mamdani seems to be holding a 50% vote majority, which is going to be important for him if he wants to get a lot of his priorities done, both in the city council and up in Albany for the state legislature. He's really going to need to have a majority of New York support to really be able to convince some of these lawmakers to go along with some of his ideas, like free and fast buses, free childcare, freezing the rent on rent-stabilized apartments. These are all ideas that he's been very enthusiastic about, but they're going to need other help. It's going to need the state legislature. It's going to need the city council. These are not things he's going to be able to accomplish on his own, but New Yorkers making it clear tonight that they want to see that ball rolling. They want to see some change. Now, Mamdani is going to be the first Muslim mayor of New York City, so we're going to have to see just what that means as well, but many people here excited to see, and a Democratic Socialist now becoming mayor as well. So we're going to have to see just exactly what all that means as the next 4 years progresses. Steve, Natasha?
Yeah, I think many people would call that a political earthquake. All right, Morgan, thank you so much. Let's go now to Mikey Sherrill, who's taking the stage, presumably giving her victory speech.
India has defined us for almost 250 years. We fought for liberty at the crossroads of the American Revolution, turning the tide for our young nation at the battles of Trenton and Princeton. We offered prosperity as we built the nation during the Industrial Revolution. We've been the cradle of scientific discovery, inventing everything from the light bulb to the laser. Liberty and prosperity. I've seen the genius in that motto over the last year, because both are essential in our democracy. And as the president is backing away from this ideal, cutting SNAP, ripping away healthcare, terminating gateway, we here in New Jersey are bound to fight for a different future for our children. We see how clearly important liberty is. We know that no one in our great state is safe when our neighbors are targeted, ignoring the law and the Constitution. But prosperity is equally essential. Liberty alone is not enough if the government makes it impossible for you to feed your family, to get a good education, or to get a good job. So in this country, that shouldn't be too much to ask. But right now, all of it seems at risk. Governors have never mattered more. And in this state, I am determined to build prosperity for all of our citizens. And I've heard from thousands of you about what liberty and prosperity mean to you, what it's going to take for your family to thrive. So I hear you, Newark. I'm going to to work with communities from the ground up so all of our neighbors thrive. I hear you, Sham, so I'm going to declare a state of emergency on day one to drive down your utility costs. I hear you, Westfield, so I'm going to make sure our kids are safe online and schools have the resources they need to address the mental health crisis. I hear you, Jersey City, so I'm going to hold government accountable, balancing individual liberty with collective responsibility, ensuring people are safe, healthy, educated, and free to pursue their dreams. I hear you, New Jersey. Good government doesn't just manage problems, it solves them. So I'm going to continue to listen and work with you to move our state forward. Because I have learned so much as I've traveled our state. Our innovations, our businesses, our inventors and entrepreneurs have amazed me. But it's the people that have left the biggest mark. Especially those who are fighting for prosperity for their entire communities. I was moved during my block walk in Trenton with Shanique as she spoke so passionately about the promise of her city and her neighbors despite the challenges. I love the group of young men from Monroe who've been hard at work on this campaign. They want a seat at the table and they're ready to fight for their future. The little girls who come up to me to say that they're going to be a governor or they're going to be a president.
All right, that was Mikey Sherrill, who has been declared governor of New Jersey. She won a race over Republican Jack Ciattarelli, winning by a margin few people anticipated, 57 to 43. She was striking her themes of affordability. She even mentioned governors have never mattered more, of course, in relation to Trump era 2.0.
And joining us now with more analyst of this is Essie Cup. Hi. This is fascinating. I mean, we went into this thinking that it was going to be a very tight race, but Mikey Sherrill went away with 56% and Jack Ciattarelli 43%. Are you surprised by that?
Yeah, this race looked like it was tightening. I don't know that he was going to win, but it was definitely tightening in the end, and I know that her campaign was a little worried coming down to the wire. But she also ran a great campaign. I don't want to overstate, like, Democrats had a great night tonight, but it's, winning in New Jersey, winning in Virginia, it's not winning in Texas, okay? So let's say, look, these were great nights for Democrats, but these weren't, like, impossible wins for the Dems.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's talk about the race for New York City mayor. Zoran Mamdani, 34 years old, first Muslim mayor. This is an earthquake for sure.
It's an earthquake. Yeah. It's an earthquake for all the reasons. It's an earthquake and a warning to the Democratic Party that a good candidate might not even need you. Can win without you if you're not on top of it and you're not, like, on board. It's a warning to Republicans. People thought he's too progressive. New York is liberal, but it's not Portland liberal. They'll never elect someone like Zoran Mamdani. Yeah, they did. Yes, they did. Yeah. And look, it's a warning to people like Andrew Cuomo who thought that they could kind of come in and coast on their name ID. Can't do that anymore.
No. And the major policy promises, just to remind everyone with Zoran Mamdani, rent freezes, free buses, universal child care, affordable housing. How realistic is it now that he can make good on these promises in terms of also balancing our budget?
Not very realistic. I don't want to burst everyone's bubble as they're celebrating. I know a lot of people are very excited. And we talked to a lot of voters over the course of this campaign, and we asked them, if he can't do the things you're most excited about, will it matter? They said no. No, it was the hope and promise.
It's like a symbolic in a way.
Yeah, and I think he even addressed this. I think he said something like, Zoran Mamdani said something like, since when did aspiration become a crime? Something along those lines. And, like, it's enough to be aspirational. Now, he's going to have to have a good working relationship with City Council. He's going to have a good relationship with Albany. He's going to have to mend some fences at the NYPD. He's going to have to get some more trust among Jewish voters. There's a lot of places he's going to have to really shore up pretty quickly to start on day one. But no one, I was just with former Mayor Bill de Blasio this morning.
I saw that on social media.
Yeah, and no one's ready on day one. I talked to him about it. I said, were you ready on day one? He said, no one's ready on day one to be mayor of New York City. So give Zoran Mamdani a bit of a grace period to figure some stuff out. I know he's already been working on the transition even before tonight. So maybe he's in a good position. We'll see.
You know, we don't have a deep look into the numbers. We've got the surface numbers. We know he won. I am fascinated to dig deeper into the Jewish vote in New York City. Because another thing I saw today was one of those New York Times updates, and it was a Jewish voter outside and said, I don't think it's anti-Semitic to be critical of Netanyahu, to be critical of the Israeli government, and I don't like being told what's anti-Semitic and what's not. I guess the point being, the Jewish vote isn't a monolith. Clearly, plenty of them were willing to vote for Mamdani, despite many New York Jewish people's misgivings about some of the things he said in the past.
Some real fear, some real concern, and I think appropriate fear and concern. But New York City has the largest Jewish population outside of Israel. If someone like Zohran Mamdani, with all the things he said, can win in New York City, maybe that issue isn't as singular and monolithic as people think it is. And maybe it's not disqualifying for as many voters as people think it is. But I'm interested to dig into those exit polls too, and not just find out who voted, but why.
For sure.
SC Cup, thank you as always.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
All right, well, coverage does not stop here. Election night just getting underway.
We are live in New Jersey with an update from both candidates for governor, Mikey Sherrill and Jack Ciattarelli. As we know, Mikey Sherrill is going to be the governor-elect of New Jersey now.
That's right, and former New Jersey Assembly member Steve Adubato standing by to break down the night so far. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Well, Andrew Cuomo was looking to regain power, but fails to beat Mamdani for a second time.
Yeah, we're looking at the number in the race for New York City mayor. You can see the numbers are in with 88% of the vote reported so far. Zohran Mamdani with 50%, Andrew Cuomo 42%, and Curtis Sliwa 7%. We were just talking during the commercial. That would have been a lot closer race if those 7% had all gone to Cuomo. Of course, there's no way to know that that is indeed what would have happened, but simple math,
always 20/20,
simple math shows it could have been potentially a lot closer. All right, Fox 5's Linda Schmidt is live in Midtown at Andrew Cuomo's election night headquarters. Linda, what's the mood in there, and are we expected to hear from Andrew Cuomo anytime soon?
Okay, well, Cuomo, we definitely will be hearing him at some point tonight, but we have no idea when that's going to be. You know, we've tried to be in contact with his people since 4 o'clock this afternoon, and they really have not been responding. That was an indicator that things were not going well for them, and they knew that he was going to probably end up losing this race, and probably lose it by a large margin. Now, you talk about the polls. Every single poll for the past few months has shown Mamdani in the lead anywhere from 8% to double digits. He could end up beating, in the end, he could end up defeating Cuomo in the double digits. And, you know, you look at Andrew Cuomo, this is somebody who obviously voters have decided they want to move on from. He is part of the establishment, the political elite. He has spent his entire adulthood in politics. He was the governor for 3 terms, and he served the state of New York for 11 years. He was also the HUD secretary under President Clinton. So his resume is expansive in the amount of experience that he has. Some people feel, in some circles, is unparalleled. But in the end, the voters wanted something new. And some of the voters, when you talk to them about why they voted for Mamdani, they said they chose integrity over the experience. And something that really needs to be pointed out here, too, a lot of voters under the age of 35, they don't know about Andrew Cuomo's lengthy political history. What they do know about him, the sexual harassment scandal that led to his resignation in disgrace back in 2021, and also the number of nursing home deaths that happened during the pandemic. Now, as far as what's next for Mamdani, that's when the real work begins. Political experts would say, if you think that your campaign was difficult, just wait until the first day that you get into City Hall. That is when the real work begins here. In the meantime, we are waiting for Andrew Cuomo to take the stage. Back inside to you.
Yeah, it's the difference between the wedding and the marriage, as they say. That's the hard work. All right, Linda, we appreciate it. Outspoken Republican Curtis Sliwa ran a campaign promising law and order.
Fox 5's Kendall Green is live on the Upper West Side, where Sliwa just spoke. Kendall?
Hey, good evening, Steve and Natasha. Republican candidate Curtis Sewell didn't waste any time giving his concession speech. He actually gave it about 45 minutes ago and spoke to this small crowd of folks on the Upper West Side supporting them through his gritty campaign. Now, he continues to stand firm and defiant in his views on public safety, especially on the subways, offering his platform for voters who feel left behind by the system, and he maintained his distance from both Mayor-elect Mamdani and Cuomo in the process, reminding his supporters how many times he's been bribed to drop out of the race, which he decided not to. The candidate spoke to his supporters, thanking them for their commitment to his campaign before conceding just a while ago. Let's take a listen.
We have a mayor-elect. Obviously, I wish him good luck, because if he does well, we do well. But I will tell you this. We have spent 2 years organizing this movement. It's not just Republicans or Democrats or independents. It's animal lovers. It's people who've been disenfranchised. People who have been pushed to the side, whose voices have not been heard.
And when he wrapped that speech up, people were very supportive of Curtis Sewell for running a campaign the way that he did. But of course, he mentioned that he does want Mayor-elect Mamdani to be successful. But that's the latest here on the Upper West Side. Kendall Green, Fox 5 News. Natasha C.
Yeah, you can hear the emotion in his voice, no doubt about it. All right, thanks, Kendall. Election night just getting started. Still ahead, we're going to have a roundtable discussion with 2 New York City political professors.
All right, welcome back. We now know the next New Jersey governor. It will be Democrat Mikey Sherrill, who got away with the win, 56% to Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican candidate, at 43%. The results are now in.
Yeah, much bigger margin than most people have been expecting. That was expected to be a really close race, right? Potentially, a point or two one way or the other. Joining us now with the latest is Steve Adubato, political analyst and author, Lessons in Leadership 2.0, The Tough Stuff. Steve, thanks for being with us again. Let's just start with your reaction to the margin of Mikey Sherrill's victory tonight. Are you surprised by that?
Steve and Natasha, I am shocked. I thought this would be an incredibly close race. I thought there was a good chance that Mikey Sherrill would win, but not by this percentage point. These percentage points, 10, 12, 13 percentage points. I'm convinced of this. This is the Donald Trump factor. This race was more about Donald Trump in the White House saying he would lower grocery costs. He was going to cancel the Gateway Tunnel, which hurt New Jerseyans. You got the ICE raids where he said he was going to go after the criminals. Then you had people being pulled like moms away from their kids, because they were here illegally. They're not the criminals he was talking about. Here's my point. Mikey Sherrill won this race by as big a margin as she appears to, because she ran against Donald Trump, his administration, and Jack Ciattarelli gave him an A, said he did everything right, couldn't figure out how to distance himself from the president. He paid a price tonight. Donald Trump, our president, needs to really look at these results and ask himself what needs to be changed in his policies as they affect New Jersey and a range of other states that could go blue in the future.
I know the last time we talked to you, you were looking closely at Passaic County. What was your takeaway with that?
Donald Trump did very well in Passaic County. He won Passaic County against Vice President Harris. He ran a great campaign last year, but Latino voters, disproportionately, they are in Passaic County, heavy Hispanic Latino vote there. They gave Donald Trump a chance. This is what I'm convinced of. Many Latino voters are upset about the president on the economy, on affordability. He raised expectations by saying day one he was going to fix this, lower prices, grocery prices, then say not a big deal and focus on a range of other things. P.S. Don't kid yourself. When you tear apart the East Wing of the White House and people see those pictures, that had an effect on people. That's not why they elected the president. I'm telling you, Jack Ciattarelli paid a price for Donald Trump's presidency, not even a year old.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll figure that all out. I saw earlier today, Steve Bannon already sort of was blaming Donald Trump for not being involved enough in some of these races for governor. And then, of course, you had the last-minute Obama endorsement. He's much more sparing with his endorsements. Did that carry any weight? Or, again, was it just all Trump as far as you're concerned?
It was, listen, Obama came over the weekend. I think Obama came in because he thought Mikey Sherrill had a really good chance to win. If he didn't think that, he wasn't going to come in. He's a smart politician. I think the Citarelli people did not want Donald Trump to come in because they sensed that this was going to be a problem. Look, being president is an impossible job, but I'll repeat myself. The president raising expectations and then saying Jack's all MAGA, Jack Citarelli's all MAGA, that MAGA thing doesn't sell in a state like New Jersey that may not be dark blue, as people think, but it's purple and it can lean blue if, in fact, voters in urban areas come out. And they appear to have come out after Obama came here. I don't even think Mikey Sherrill was doing that well in the urban areas until people decided that they were going to vote against the president, and that happened in urban areas and suburban areas across the state. I'm shocked by this level of victory of Mikey Sherrill, who's going to be a new governor and face, by the way, if she thought the campaign was tough, she may be wishing she didn't get elected, because what she faces with the problems in New Jersey transit, affordability, property taxes, the Gateway Tunnel issue, a whole range of problems she's going to face as governor, because people are now expecting a lot from her.
Yeah, we talked about that, effective versus realistic. But we got to leave the conversation there, Steve. So great to talk to you. Thanks so much for your expertise.
All the best.
Well, heated campaign season is over. Zohran Mamdani will be the next mayor of New York City.
All right, we are live from candidate headquarters with reaction coming in about tonight's results.
News.
We're trying to do the constitutional right that is the vote, the most important thing.
Just want a better New York, honestly.
Everything Zohran is talking about essentially motivated me to come out.
I would say one, being realistic in the goals that each mayor is trying to achieve. Over-promising and under-delivering is never a good thing.
The contentious race for New York City mayor, driving people to the polls and voters making their choice clear, electing Zohran Mamdani as a new mayor of New York City. Welcome back to the 10 o'clock news. I'm Natasha Verma.
Now, Steve Lacey, let's get right to the results tonight of the race for mayor. Here's where the numbers stand. Zohran Mamdani with 50% of the vote to Andrew Cuomo's 42%. Curtis Sliwa with 7%. That is with 89% of the vote. So a lot of people looking to see if Zohran ends with over 50%, which is viewed as politically significant for him and trying to achieve his goals when he gets into office.
And over the Hudson River, it was expected to be a tight race for New Jersey governor, but it didn't follow the polls. Mikey Sherrill, quick to be declared the winner, 56% there to Jack Citarelli, Republican candidate, at 43%. Well, the Fox 5 team coverage, it stretches from New Jersey to New York City at candidates' watch parties.
All right, we're going to kick things off with Morgan Mackay live in downtown Brooklyn at Mamdani headquarters, and we have not heard from Zohran Mamdani yet, right, Morgan?
Are exactly right. We're still waiting for Zohran Mamdani to come out and give his victory speech. He's set to become New York City's 111th mayor, and already we're seeing more than 1 million New Yorkers voting for Mamdani. They are still tabulating results, but a huge turnout for Mamdani, and that 50% threshold that you were speaking about just earlier, that's going to be really important for him if he wants to get some of his priorities done, and to be able to say that, hey, a majority of New Yorkers support me, and they want to see these priorities like free buses, free universal child care, get through Albany and City Hall. Now, we are seeing some pretty big names at this campaign watch party tonight. We have Congresswoman AOC, she is here. We have some names that you would probably expect to be here, like Public Advocate Jumaane Williams, City Comptroller Brad Lander. We're also seeing Attorney General Letitia James, all of them out here to support Mamdani. They also endorsed him. Senator Bernie Sanders, somebody else who's really supported Mamdani throughout his campaign. He posted on social media saying that Mamdani pulled off one of the biggest upsets in modern history, saying, quote, "Yes, we can create a government that represents working people and not the 1%. Definitely a sign that democratic socialism is something that maybe some Democrats are going to be grabbing onto as Democrats look to what they're going to be messaging to voters as we enter the midterms next year. Now, also a sign that things could be heating up for the governor's race next year. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, a Republican who's likely going to be challenging Governor Hochul next year, already placing the blame of Mamdani's win on Hochul. So we're going to have to see just what this reaction as the night continues is going to be. But Mamdani is expected to come out at any point, we're hoping, in the next half hour or so. Steve, Natasha?
All right, we'll be listening closely. Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Morgan.
All right. Mikey Sherrill declared the winner in the race for governor of New Jersey.
And Fox 8's Teresa Friolo is live at the Sherrill headquarters in East Brunswick. Teresa?
It is a party here at the Hilton, Natasha and Steve. As you mentioned, Democratic Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill is the state's next governor and its first female Democratic governor. The governor-elect is currently behind me in the crowd, thanking her supporters. She just spoke to her supporters saying that she will continue to work on the issues that she campaigned on. Number one, affordability. Take a listen. It wasn't. Roughly a 13-point spread between Sherrill and her Republican challenger, Jack Ciattarelli. She has done what has not been done in New Jersey since the 60s. She has kept the governor's seat in Democratic hands for a third consecutive term. Again, a party here, Steve and Natasha. I can tell you throughout some of her campaign events, they were playing the song Hit the Road Jack by Ray Charles. Tonight, it has moved on to Warrior by Patti Smith. That's the latest here in East Brunswick. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, very good local flavor.
Yeah.
Patti Smith. Love her. All right, now to Bridgewater, New Jersey.
Fox 8's Sharon Crowley is live at the Jack Ciattarelli watch party. Sharon, he just delivered his concession speech. What did he have to say?
Yeah, well, he thanked his supporters, Republican Jack Ciattarelli. This is the third time that he has tried to win the governor's seat. He had high hopes, and he said that his message is not done. He's going to continue to fight. He said that he rallied his supporters. He's going to continue to push Mikey Sherrill, the new governor of New Jersey, to the governor-elect of New Jersey, to really focus on affordability in this state. That was his signature issues, lowering property taxes and not raising sales taxes. And he did have an endorsement from President Trump. As I said, President Trump called him on the tele-rally last night. Here's what Jack Ciattarelli had to say just within the last 20 minutes.
Moments ago, I called and congratulated Mikey Sherrill and gave her my very best wishes. Gave her my very best wishes in hopefully solving New Jersey. And listen, guys, nobody is more disappointed than I am. But I'm proud of the efforts of my team that are here tonight. As John F. Kennedy once said, life's not always fair, but I am proud of the effort we put forth.
Clearly disappointed. He had his family on the stage with him, but he did say one sort of funny thing. I think I mentioned earlier that he took his campaign on somewhat of a diner tour, and he said he had more BLTs and onion soups than he can remember. So he certainly learned a lot in this campaign. He said getting over 600 towns in New Jersey, and he seems like he's going to continue to try to push his platform forward in whatever way that he can. So I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
You see a lot of the state running for governor, no doubt about it. All right, Sharon, we appreciate it. An election night nowhere close to being over.
Analysts are here to break down the results in a round table with two political professors next. Welcome back. Zohran Mamdani declared the winner just about 30 minutes race after polls closed. 50% to Zoran Mamdani, 42% for Andrew Cuomo, and 7% to Curtis Sliwa.
That's right, and we're waiting to hear from Andrew Cuomo and Zoran Mamdani. When that happens, we will take you to it. In the meantime, joining us now with the latest, Brian Brown, political analyst from St. John's University, and Lincoln Mitchell from Columbia University School of International and Public Affairs. Lincoln, let's start with you. To your perspective, the big story tonight was the runaway win for Mikey Sherrill in the governor's race in New Jersey.
Absolutely. That was supposed to be a very close race. Remember, Jersey goes 6 points for Harris, not that much. Cigarelli was supposed to be a very strong candidate, and she just broke this thing open. And that, to me, speaks to how wildly unpopular Donald Trump is. In a state like New Jersey, you'd expect a candidate who'd run before, who's a pretty good candidate on the stump, and he just got his hat handed to him.
Lost by 3% last time around, yeah.
And he lost double digits this time because people don't like Donald Trump, and he couldn't separate himself from Trump because Trump's better off with the Republican governor, but his ego won't allow the Republican candidate to kind of distance himself.
Lincoln, we've got to interrupt you because we've got Andrew Cuomo coming out right now with his speech, so let's take you live to him right now. Do we have...
Any second now, he's coming out.
Yeah, here he is. Let's take him live.
Thank you. You're taking my time. First, I love you too. Let me acknowledge part of my special campaign team. We have from the right, Telef Lundaval, the new son-in-law, husband of Mariah. We have Mariah, Cara, Michaela. I want to thank our campaign chairman, Bill Mulrow, our great campaign manager, Greg Goldner. I want to thank Mayor Adams, who stepped out of the race to make us more competitive. And that was a very gracious thing to do. I want to thank Mayor Bloomberg, who gave us his support, Governor David Patterson, all the unions. And I am blessed to have the people in this room. You have been a phenomenal team, great friends. You are superstars. Even more, you are New York patriots. And I am proud. This campaign was the right fight to wage. And I am proud of what we did and what we did together. This campaign was to contest the philosophies that are shaping the Democratic Party, the future of this city, and the future of this country. And this coalition transcended normal partisan politics. It brought together Democrats and Republicans and independents, joined by the simple fact that their first allegiance is as citizens of New York City. Two million voters, the largest number in modern political history, cared enough to show up in a municipal election. And 42% voted for us on an independent line. That is the highest percentage in modern history. Ironically, it is just higher than when Mario Cuomo got 40% on an independent line against Ed Koch in 1977. It's also important to note that almost half of New Yorkers did not vote to support a government agenda that makes promises that we know cannot be met. We support an economy of jobs, of opportunity, of entrepreneurship. That's what New York is, and that's what New York must remain. We are a nation of laws, and we believe in law and order, and we need the police to keep society safe. We will not make the NYPD the enemy. We cherish our diversity, and we have no tolerance for discrimination of any kind by race, religion, sexual orientation, or creed. And we will not tolerate any behavior that fans the flames of anti-Semitism or diverse attacks. Our strength is our unity. Black, white, brown, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, we are one. We are the family of New York. We believe in interconnection and mutuality and codependence. And you attack one of us, you attack all of us. That is what it means to be a New Yorker. No one and nothing will ever divide us. And this campaign was necessary to make that point. A caution flag that we are heading down a dangerous, dangerous road. Well, we made that point, and they heard us, and we will hold them to it. Also, my friends, feel proud because we accomplished the two important New York characteristics. We got up off the mat after the primary, and we made it a real race when the media had already commenced the coronation. And feel proud because we fought our hearts out and we left it all on the field. Congratulations to Zohran Mamdani. No, that is not right. That is not right, and that is not us. That is not us. Tonight was their night, and as they start to transition to government, we will all help any way we can because we need our New York City government to work. We want it to work for all New Yorkers because our city is the greatest city in the world, and we will unite for New York City because we love New York City. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank each and every one of you. I love you for the fight you made, for the soul that you showed, and the example that you set. New York City heard us, and we will be the better for it. Thank you, and God bless you.
You've been listening in to Andrew Cuomo making his concession speech. What did we say, about 5 minutes in before he congratulated Zohran Mamdani? Brian, first thing that comes to mind, for me at least, is what's next for Andrew Cuomo?
You know, after listening to that speech, I'm not sure if he's trying to audition for 2028 or try to still stay in the mix. But I mean, his father was a great orator. That was not a great concession speech. I mean, not an ounce of graciousness or, read the room.
Like, it was awful defiant.
You lost. Yeah. And I'm really stunned by the tone he took. I thought it would have been an opportunity to bring the city together. I was thinking back to when David Dinkins lost in 1993. He had that famous line, mayors come and go, but the city will endure. That was the kind of message I was looking for. Not that.
He sort of got to the stuff he had to say at the very end.
At the very end.
It was interesting. I also had a it flashback to COVID when he mentioned the husband of Mariah. That brought me right back to those COVID pressers,
And also,
too.
what's up with not saying the mayor's name right? You know, Mamdani, after so long, even at the very end, he's holding on to saying Mamdani. Why?
Well, I'm reminded of how so many people, including Donald Trump, would pronounce Kamala Harris's name Kamala or things like that. It is a way of insulting someone, particularly somebody whose name may sound unusual to some people's ears. And remember, he did it to his face, and Mamdani in the debate says you have to get it right because, and he was about to say because I'm going to win, and he said because it's important. But that speaks to kind of the arrogance and the nastiness that really defined this campaign from Andrew Cuomo. There were parts of that speech when he talked about what it means to be a New Yorker. If that had been where he kicked off his campaign, he might have found himself in a better place after the June primary. And today, but it's the insulting. He can pronounce it. He's educated. He knows how to pronounce Mamdani. He chooses not to because he just wants to keep sticking it to the mayor-elect. And what does that get anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting to think what comes next because, as we mentioned, it was very defiant. And at the beginning, you mentioned this campaign was the right fight to wage.
Right. What comes next for Andrew Cuomo? He goes to Wall Street and makes money. I mean, that's the only thing I can see here.
Yeah.
He's not going to run. I mean, in 2028, Andrew Cuomo will not have won an election in a decade. And he'll be over 70 years old, and even more people will have forgotten his father, for whom older New Yorkers still have some good thoughts. He's not going to be doing much in between. His political career is over. It's been over for years, and now he's just learning that.
He talks about, leaving everything on the field and fighting it and putting so much passion into his fight. Do you see it that way? This campaign?
We didn't see it in the primary, and we really didn't see it in the general election until around Labor Day, when he really started, to make some sign of a campaign. But, he was never comfortable glad handling. He wasn't doing, what needed to be done, and the results demonstrate that. And it's a real contrast between styles, I think, between Zoran and Andrew, and that's what the voters saw, and that's what they demonstrated.
People want to see the candidate fight for their vote.
Zoran Mamdani left it all on the field. This is a guy who worked extremely hard, came out of nowhere, had a plan, executed, but more importantly, was tireless. Whether it was being on the streets, whether it was the extraordinary social media, whether it was always being prepared, and actually doing something that Andrew Cuomo never did. Andrew Cuomo was in this race for a year, and I never knew what he would do I'm a New Yorker. What would he do for me as mayor? What would he do for this city as mayor? It was always some kind of personal vindication, and then this really turning on Mamdani in ways that it's like he did raise some important criticisms of Mamdani, but he didn't really prosecute the case. You can't run for mayor for a year and never really explain to voters why you want to be mayor, what you would do.
Yeah. It seemed like he was in it for himself. It was his political reclamation project, right?
The other thing that strikes me, too, is just this is supposed to be a unified Democratic Party, and it does, even with the speech that Cuomo just gave. Is the party really unified?
No, I don't think so. And, I think there really has to be some soul-searching amongst the Democratic Party to come together. But I also think that New York City, we don't necessarily speak for the rest of the country. A New York City Democrat is very different from a New Jersey Democrat, from a Midwest Democrat, and a West Coast Democrat. And I think people need to realize that. But it is a great victory for Zoran. He rewrote the playbook, and he's probably going to be the model of future campaigns to come.
Yeah, it's 34 years old. That's a big job for a 34-year-old.
It's a particularly big job for a 34-year-old with such a thin resume, and we have to be honest about this.
I think, are we hearing or is this video?
This is
sorry. Continue. Sorry.
He's an extraordinarily talented guy, an extraordinarily talented politician, an extraordinarily charismatic guy, but you probably wouldn't hire somebody with this resume to run an NGO with a $20 million budget and a staff of 75. And I don't mean that as just like an attack on him. I'm just saying it the way it is.
Right.
He might rise up to it. He might really get it. He might take a liking to it. But being mayor of New York is a management job first. And he has not demonstrated, I'm not saying he can't, but generically he hasn't demonstrated he can do that. So it's a big challenge.
These are some major promises that he's made. Rent freezes, free buses, universal childcare, affordable housing. How realistic is it that he makes good on these promises?
I think it is realistic that he makes some good on some of these promises. He's not going to deliver all of these. And some of them really, how hard are you going to fight it? He said that himself for free grocery stores. It's, I live in Manhattan. You put a free grocery store on 145th Street or down in Chinatown, might as well put it in France. Doesn't do me any good. But can he make headway on affordable housing? Probably. Can he find a way to make public transportation cheaper for some people? Probably. But it's not going to be easy. The job of being mayor is finding pools of money, finding pockets of money, finding legislative workarounds in City Hall and in Albany to get those resources in. It's not impossible, it's doable, but it's not going to happen by magic.
Yeah.
We have 3 minutes left. You know, any words of advice for the future mayor here?
I would encourage him to be a workhorse and not a show horse, to get the job done, to do the governing, to do the small things. I would encourage him to ride the subway regularly from Gracie Mansion down to City Hall, because that's where you see New York City at its best and worst. And I would also encourage him to surround himself with some seasoned people. Put together a good team of people who have that experience that he's lacking to get the job done.
All right, we haven't spoken about President Trump yet.
Yeah.
we know that's coming tomorrow.
Yeah, I've been
What's the
refreshing my
reaction to
Truth
this?
Social,
Yeah.
Truth Social to see what he has to say.
This is a resounding defeat for Donald Trump, not just in New York, less so in New York than nationally. So if Donald Trump, and it's not clear that he does, is aware of these things because he lives in his own information super bubble, he just got lost badly in 3 really different states. So if he decides to turn his rancor on New York and send the troops in, that will be terrible for New Yorkers, but also will make Mamdani more popular. Trump wants this fight with Mamdani. Mamdani, fighting with Trump is good for his poll numbers. And it's probably easier in some respects because he is very smart. He's very sharp on his feet. He's not afraid. And those are skills that are very good when it comes going head-to-head with Donald Trump. So I don't think that's necessarily bad for Mamdani. He doesn't want it. Obviously, I think he does want to focus on these things. It's bad for New York.
He doesn't have a say, though, right?
Right.
Whether it comes to what to do.
Trump will take this all the way to the midterms,
Yes.
and that race starts tomorrow. And he will paint every Democrat, whether they're in a purple or a blue district, there will be Zoran Democrats.
And the real story tonight is Mikey Sherrill. That's the upset win. That is just as much a claim of being the face of the Democratic Party in reality as Zoran Mamdani does.
Well, a big night for the Democrats. We really appreciate you guys being here. Stay with us. A special edition of the 10 o'clock news is next.
That's right. Our election night coverage continues in 3 minutes.